In the heart of Italy, nestled within the rolling hills and enchanting countryside, lies a city that once was the epicenter of art, culture, and commerce. A city that gave birth to some of history's most brilliant minds and where the seeds of modern banking were sown. This is Florence, and this is the story of the family who made it all possible, the Medici. The year was 1397 when a young man named Giovanni de' Medici founded a small bank in Florence. Little did he know that his humble establishment would evolve into an institution that would transform the global financial landscape and cement the Medici family's legacy for centuries to come. But what made the Medici so successful? How did they rise to power? And how did their influence shape the world as we know it today? To understand the Medici, we must first comprehend the context of medieval Florence, a city divided by political strife, social unrest, and economic instability. Florence was ripe for change, and Giovanni de' Medici recognized this opportunity. With an uncanny ability to navigate the turbulent waters of 14th century finance, he turned his small bank into a formidable force. The Medici Bank soon became the go-to financial institution for Europe's most powerful families, including the Pope himself. At its height, the Medici Bank had branches in Rome, Venice, Naples, Milan, and Bruges, a testament to Giovanni's foresight and strategic planning. The Medici's innovative banking practices, such as double-entry bookkeeping, facilitated international trade and revolutionized the way businesses operated. However, it wasn't just their financial acumen that set the Medici apart. They understood the importance of investing in art, culture, and education, laying the groundwork for Florence's Renaissance period. Under their patronage, artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo flourished, and institutions such as the University of Florence were established. So, who were the Medici? They were bankers, politicians, artists, and innovators, a family that transformed a small city in medieval Italy into a global powerhouse. This is their story, a tale of ambition, cunning, and determination that would shape the course of financial history as we know it. Welcome to The Money Trail. Together, we will delve deep into the world of the Medici family, uncovering the secrets of their success and exploring the lasting impact they left on our modern financial system. In the heart of medieval Italy, a revolution in finance was brewing. This upheaval would propel the Medici family from humble beginnings to unparalleled wealth and influence. The key to their success? A groundbreaking accounting method known as double-entry bookkeeping. Double-entry bookkeeping is a system that records every financial transaction twice, once as a debit and once as a credit. This elegant yet powerful tool allowed the Medici bankers to keep track of their complex financial dealings with astonishing accuracy. The first documented use of this method can be traced back to 1299 in the city-state of Genoa. However, it was the Medici family who would perfect and popularize this accounting technique, transforming it into an indispensable tool for their burgeoning banking empire. The impact of double-entry bookkeeping on the Medici family's financial operations cannot be overstated. By meticulously recording every transaction, they gained unparalleled insights into their cash flow, assets, and liabilities. This newfound transparency helped them make more informed decisions, identify potential problems before they became critical, and minimize risks in their lending practices. Moreover, the adoption of double-entry bookkeeping enabled the Medici bankers to establish a clear separation between their personal finances and those of the bank. This crucial distinction fostered trust among their clients, investors, and business partners, further fueling the growth of the Medici banking empire. As The Money Trail continues to unravel the secrets of the Medici family's success, it becomes evident that their mastery of double-entry bookkeeping played a pivotal role in propelling them from obscurity to prominence. The accuracy, transparency, and trust engendered by this accounting method laid the groundwork for the sophisticated financial systems we know today. And while the Medici family's reign has long since ended, their legacy lives on in the very bedrock of our modern banking system. The Medici family's influence on modern banking didn't stop at double-entry bookkeeping. They also played a pioneering role in the creation of joint stock companies, an innovation that fundamentally changed the way business was conducted. In the early 1400s, the Medici Bank was one of the most powerful financial institutions in Europe. But managing such a large enterprise wasn't easy, especially when it came to raising capital. Traditional methods like partnerships or loans were limiting and often put the entire burden of risk on the Medicis, so they got creative. In 1408, they established the Societas di Cambio, a new type of company that allowed investors to buy shares, or stocks. This meant that instead of shouldering all the risk themselves, the Medici family could spread it across a wider pool of shareholders. It was a revolutionary concept, one that would forever alter the landscape of finance. Here's how it worked. Each share represented a certain value, and as profits rolled in, they were distributed among shareholders according to their stake. If losses occurred, those same shareholders absorbed the hit. This system not only protected the Medici fortune, but also incentivized investment by offering potential returns. This groundbreaking model laid the foundation for today's stock markets, where millions of dollars change hands every second. Yet, at its inception, the Societas di Cambio was more than just a financial tool. It was a testament to the Medici's forward-thinking approach to banking. However, this innovation wasn't without controversy. Critics argued that such companies lacked transparency and opened the door to speculation and manipulation. These concerns are still relevant today, highlighting the enduring complexity of our financial systems. Nevertheless, the creation of joint stock companies marked a significant milestone in the Medici's journey towards inventing modern banking. By transforming the way businesses raised capital, they set the stage for the globalized economy we know today, and while their methods may have been imperfect, their impact is undeniable. The Medici's ascent to financial power wasn't solely due to their innovative banking practices. They were also masters of political connections and patronage. The family's strategic alliances with influential figures across Europe helped expand their reach and influence. In 1439, Cosimo de' Medici, the head of the family at the time, struck a crucial deal with Eugene IV, the Pope. Cosimo provided the Pope with an interest-free loan of 3,000. In our exploration of the Medici family's profound impact on modern banking, we must delve into the lending practices that cemented their financial influence. A key aspect of this was extending substantial loans to monarchs and the papacy, a strategy that brought both staggering rewards and inescapable risks. In 1439, Cosimo de' Medici, then leading the family, struck a critical deal with Pope Eugene IV. Cosimo generously provided an interest-free loan of 3,000 florins to the Pope, a substantial sum equivalent to millions today. This transaction marked the beginning of a long-standing relationship between the Medici Bank and the Vatican, which persisted for centuries. The loans extended by the Medici Bank served multiple purposes. First, they bolstered the financial status of both the borrowers and the lenders. By offering substantial loans to monarchs and the papacy, the Medicis gained access to lucrative returns on their investments. Furthermore, these transactions solidified their political alliances with influential figures across Europe, thereby expanding their reach and influence. However, this strategy was not without its pitfalls. Lending to monarchs and the papacy carried significant risks. Monarchies were prone to financial instability, and popes often faced challenges in repaying loans. In fact, Pope Eugene IV struggled to settle his debt to the Medici Bank, forcing Cosimo to restructure the loan multiple times. The Medici's most notable success in lending to monarchs came in 1468, when they extended a substantial loan of 120,000 gold florins to King Edward IV of England. This transaction positioned the Medici Bank as one of the primary financial institutions in Europe and demonstrated its unparalleled influence. But this prosperity was short-lived. By 1478, the Pazzi conspiracy, a plot against the Medici family orchestrated by their rivals, had led to the downfall of the Medici Bank. The conspirators' ultimate goal was to seize control of the bank, which had grown too powerful for their liking. The Medici Bank's lending practices, though fraught with risks and challenges, paved the way for modern banking as we know it today. By extending loans to monarchs and the papacy, the Medicis revolutionized financial systems and set a precedent that continues to influence global finance. The Medici Bank was not just a financial powerhouse in Europe, its influence also extended to exploration and trade, shaping the global economy in profound ways. In the 15th century, the Medici family recognized the potential of maritime trade routes and invested heavily in explorers like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama. In 1492, for instance, the Medici Bank financed Christopher Columbus's ambitious voyage to discover a new sea route to Asia. Although Columbus never found a direct path to India, he instead stumbled upon America, a discovery that would change the course of history. This investment marked one of the earliest examples of European financial involvement in global exploration and colonialism, setting a precedent for future ventures. A few years later, in 1497, the Medici Bank sponsored Vasco da Gama's expedition around Africa to India. This journey successfully established a direct maritime route between Europe and Asia, effectively bypassing middlemen and significantly reducing trade costs. Consequently, this opened up new avenues for commerce, enabling European powers to access spices, textiles, and other valuable resources from the East. These daring explorations would have been impossible without the Medici Bank's deep pockets and financial acumen. By tapping into the burgeoning world trade market, the Medicis helped create an interconnected global economy that thrives on international commerce to this day. However, these ventures were not without risks. Many expeditions failed, leading to substantial financial losses for the bank. Yet, as history shows, the Medici Bank's gamble paid off handsomely. Their pioneering role in financing exploration and trade laid the groundwork for today's globalized economy, where countries rely on international trade to drive growth and prosperity. As we delve deeper into the financial legacy of the Medici family, it becomes clear that their impact extends far beyond the confines of Italy or Europe. Through their innovative thinking practices and strategic investments in exploration and trade, the Medicis played a pivotal role in shaping the modern economic world order. The Medici family's reign as banking titans began to wane in the late 15th century, a victim of their own success and ambition. The vast fortune accumulated by the clan attracted numerous enemies, and the dynasty found itself embroiled in political intrigues that drained its resources and energy. One turning point came when Pope Sixtus IV, who had benefited from Medici patronage, turned against them. In 1478, he orchestrated the infamous Pazzi conspiracy, an assassination attempt that left Giuliano de' Medici dead and his brother Lorenzo severely wounded. Although Lorenzo managed to maintain power, the family was forced on the defensive, spending heavily to protect its position and squandering much of its wealth. Despite these setbacks, the Medicis' influence in banking continued through branches in Rome, Venice, Naples, and other major cities. Yet, over time, they faced increasing competition from rivals like the Fuggers and the Welsers of Germany, who pioneered new financial instruments and techniques. Meanwhile, the Medici Bank's expansion into trade financing exposed it to significant risks. When explorers like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama failed to deliver immediate profits from their voyages, the bank suffered substantial losses. By the early 16th century, the Medici Bank was in decline, unable to cope with mounting debts and dwindling revenues. However, the Medicis' legacy lives on in the world of finance. They popularized double-entry bookkeeping, introduced bills of exchange, and established banking practices that are still used today. Moreover, their investments in exploration and trade helped lay the groundwork for global capitalism. Today, we take for granted many financial concepts and institutions that originated with the Medicis. Their story serves as a reminder of how deeply intertwined politics and finance have always been, and continue to be in shaping our world. It's a tale of power, innovation, hubris, and ultimately, transformation. One that echoes down the centuries and continues to reverberate in today's financial markets. Closer look at the Medici's legacy, we see that their innovations in banking and finance laid the foundation for modern capitalism. They introduced double-entry bookkeeping, which allowed them to keep track of debits and credits with unprecedented accuracy, a system still in use today. The Medici Bank, established in 1397, became Europe's most powerful financial institution during the Renaissance. At its peak, it had branches across the continent, from London to Venice, and even as far away as Constantinople and Bruges. The Medici were not just bankers, they financed wars, popes, kings, and explorations. Consider this: in 1492, when Christopher Columbus set sail seeking a new route to Asia, he didn't have enough money. He turned to the Genoese banker Giovanni Battista del Poggi, who then approached Lorenzo de' Medici, ruler of Florence at that time. Lorenzo agreed to help fund Columbus's expedition, an early example of venture capital financing. Or take the case of Pope Leo X, a member of the Medici family himself. When he ascended to the papal throne in 1513, he found the Vatican's coffers empty. To finance his grand plans for rebuilding St. Peter's Basilica and maintaining power, he relied heavily on the Medici Bank. In fact, one of Leo X's first acts as Pope was to appoint a Medici cousin as his personal banker. These stories underscore how deeply intertwined politics and finance were and continue to be in shaping our world. They also highlight the far-reaching consequences of the Medici family's financial innovations, which remain foundational to our modern economic system. Today, we live in a world shaped by those long-ago decisions made in the counting houses and palaces of Florence. From Wall Street to the City of London, from Silicon Valley to Shanghai, traces of the Medici's influence can be found everywhere. Their story reminds us that finance is more than just numbers. It's about power, ambition, and vision, the ability to imagine a different future and make it real. As we reflect on the Medici legacy, let us remember that finance isn't merely an abstract concept or dry technicality. It's a human story filled with drama, intrigue, and consequence. And like all good stories, it's one worth telling and retelling.